Good afternoon. This is Patrick, and you are trading with Prime. It is Sunday. What's the date today? The 27th. Happy holidays to everybody. Welcome back. Let's get ready for this week coming up here. Have some charts for you guys. We'll take a look at the bigger picture first. We'll look at a few different charts. I'll go over some stocks that I'm looking at, and then we will get into some of your guys' things, some of the stocks that you guys are after. Also, any technical analysis you guys would like help with, let me know. So, market, looking at the futures, we are up. Let's see here. Gold is up. Russell 2000, the ES, the NQ, the Dow Jones. Not a whole lot, but we are nonetheless up. But if I dive down to the shorter time frames, it looks like we're coming into a gap higher coming into Monday, but we will see. I mean, it's too early to call that, to say that that's what's going to happen. Anything is possible. Well done for whoever is holding Bitcoin. We're at 28,235 futures. Well, that's the high I put in. Well done if you're holding that. At this point, who knows? Maybe it'll want the 30K. It's getting a little high there. So just looking around, let's start off with the SPY. Where are we at here? And we will take a look at the weekly time frame. As far as the daily chart goes, don't mind the lines that are on here, support and resistance. Maybe we'll get it back up to, well, we were never at 378.46, but now that we all see that on the daily chart, that candle is not actually that high that day. But we'll see if we start climbing here and we get another breakout. I mean, I would be targeting that, but way too early to say. Look, as far as the weekly time frame goes, let's dive down here. And good afternoon, guys. And I don't know why my YouTube keeps giving me this thing. It keeps saying error, you need to change the video resolution. The current resolution is 3840 by 2160 something. If you guys can see it, I can see it. Okay, so weekly time frame, I don't know. I feel like at a certain point, and let's flip over to the SPX, that way it's a little bit easier to see. It's a little bit cleaner. I mean, at a certain point, we're going to have that pullback, or that right now it's a pretty big uptrend. You know, I don't know where exactly we'd be drawing in trend lines, but looking closer, like the last several weeks, this rally from the March lows, let me try to zoom in on that a little bit. This is quite the move off the March lows. We put in a high 69% in the SPY. The question kind of becomes, is this going to be a breakout from the previous all-time highs back here in February? So far, it looks like it is broken out. And so the question becomes, are we going to come back and back test at least these recent highs back here from September, October, or actually this would be August? Are we going to get a retest of those prices, maybe even a little bit lower, fill in some gaps around 35.12 in the SPX? And at a certain point, I think that will happen. I don't know when that's going to be, but as of right now, it looks like higher prices are on the docket. That's what the chart looks like. It's showing it on the weekly time frame. Keep in mind, back here last year, we did see that run up where it was just week after week after week. You had several months in here where it just kind of ran up, and then you had the coronavirus low, and then we've just been rallying ever since. We could continue. This can continue for quite a while. So I would hate to say. We'll know when the time is right, and when we are in that area of some sort of reversal candles, we will begin talking about it. But until that happens, until we break this trend, there's really no point in talking about downside targets. And we will be ready to short the market when the time is right. Okay, so that's SPY, SPX. Let's look at IWM. Same thing. It's just buying. Like, just there's not really any dip to get in. It's just buying after buying, and it kind of makes you wonder who exactly is buying this market. How's it going, Dwayne, Benjamin, Tyson? Trump signed 600 stimulus breaking news from Washington Post. Thank you for that. I was kind of wondering about the stimulus. We'll see what happens tomorrow, through the rest of the week. Was that breaking like it just happened, or earlier? And that's kind of where I'm at, is like, what is going to happen once it's finally signed? Because we see so much back and forth with it that who knows? I don't know. I don't think the market cares either way, to be honest. You do see this big candle in here, so maybe there was some sort of, maybe the market gapped down and then maybe there's some sort of news, virus news or vaccine news or Trump signing the stimulus. And yeah, and my thing is like, I want to get in. I want to get into the market. There hasn't been really much of an opportunity to buy longer term swing trading, which I really like to do, but there really hasn't been much of a chance recently. I don't like buying it when it's this high, when prices are this high without giving some sort of pullback. But of course, people could be saying that the entire way up. So I do notice this. I don't know if you call this a rising wedge. It's kind of a rising wedge pattern in here in the SPY. So on the ES and SPY. So we'll see what happens. Let's see if there's some resistance up here, but I would definitely like to short once we break this pattern, and I don't know when or if that will be. I thought we were going to do it last week and it didn't happen. Buyer stepped in. So let's go over to the Qs. It's remarkable. It really is remarkable. So look at the Qs, and maybe there's definitely rotation into the IWM small caps from the Qs. We'll see how this pattern plays out. Again, you kind of see this rising wedge through here. We'll see how this plays out into next week and the following week. I was expecting some sort of selling or profit taking into the end of the year, and that rotation out of stocks into a little bit of bonds, but I don't know. It's like I said, this can continue for a while. We saw it last year where it just rallied week after week after week going into 2020. So I think we're good on those. Let's look at, what other one do I want to look at? Oh, let's take a look at XLF. And then we'll move on from this. You know what I'm saying? Oh, by the way, how was your guys' Christmas? You know what I got for Christmas? It's it's the favorite Christmas gift. Let me grab this really quick. You guys, I don't know how your guys' backs are, but so I got this chirp wheel. Phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. I would recommend it to anyone who has back pain, or even if you don't. Chirp wheel. Okay. So as we see, like XLF, we put in higher highs, higher lows from the March lows. And again, the longer it trades back and forth just underneath resistance, and I was saying kind of before, it's going to head up to this gap, possibly head up to the gap. But because we've been consolidating for so long now, I'm not sure that they'll stop at the bottom of the gap or the gap window. I think that they're going to want to rally up through here. And the gap I'm talking about was from all the way back here. Once it gets up to this price, let's see what price action does around that point, and then maybe there'll be a little bit of consolidation. But the longer we consolidate sideways through here, the more likely, in my opinion, we're going to try to actually fill the gap and not just stop at the gap window. Although there should be some resistance there, at least intraday. That's a pretty serious level. So that's enough of those. Let's go over to some stocks. Let's check out some stocks. I have MJ on there, and I wanted to look at that again because I think it put in, it's doing some stuff. Angie, I'm kind of bummed out about that one. We never got involved in that one. Oh no, we did. I tried it out and it didn't work out. And then I got stopped out of the trade back here on 12/16, I believe, and then it just took off. So it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. TAL. This is one that we are in, and I do like this. I like this pattern here. I don't like that it traded below this support area here. Let me actually draw this. There's like support in here where it kind of broke through that and then it rallied back above and then it failed again. I don't like that it did that. We are getting pinched in between the 20, the 50, and the 200. I do like that price action. I do like the higher highs and the higher lows from this point back here on 1210, 1214. So as long as we can stay above this candle here, let me do this. Kind of zoom in for you guys a little bit. If we can stay above the low of this one, so it'd be ideal to put a stop loss somewhere down in here around 66.96. And I do believe, I'm not sure if we have it in the Discord yet, but Dwayne was working on a stop loss risk management. I really like it. So if once it gets posted, you guys feel free to check it out. It's amazing because a lot of people make the mistake of where they put their not just where they put their stop loss, but a lot of the risk profile as far as how much of their account they're leveraging and how many shares they're buying. So be cautious when you're entering these trades. So if we're up here at $68, you get an entry somewhere up here around $68 or $69, and you're putting the stop loss way down here, 66.88. I'm more of a technical trader, so I put it down here for a reason, but I also will limit the shares to make sure that I'm not going over my amount that I'm risking for my overall account. So keep that in mind when you are taking some of these trades, and in your own trading, try to like tighten that up a little bit. I'm gonna put Neo back on here because Neo battery day for Neo, Neo day. What I think this is what it's called. It's coming up. I'm not sure what day it is exactly, but we did see this recent run up. I don't like this pattern where it had a reversal here. It ran up. It put in a high, and it almost makes it look like this is a head and shoulders, or it's kind of sloppy because you have a left shoulder ahead, and then you almost have two right shoulders. To me, it more looks like it ran up here and it's just pulling back, consolidating a little bit. It needs a little bit more time. And now that it made this most recent rally, I think it's safe to say you could put a stop under here if you're not long right now. Let me do this. So you see this candle, so it rallied off this point. This technically is a breakout, right? Because there's resistance in here. And let's just say hypothetically that you're in this trade right now. If it were me, I'm not in it yet, but we'll look at price action tomorrow. I would be putting a stop possibly down underneath this candle, because if it does fall through that candle, it's most likely heading a lot lower. There's a lot of gaps down in here that it could want to fill, or maybe even all the way back down to support. So keep that in mind, but that is definitely as close to risk as you get as far as, let's say we open up the day in this price area tomorrow. And if I do take a trade, I'll post it, but I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. Glue, we also went long on Glue. GLUU is the ticker symbol. I do also like this because, and I'll go through the comments here in a second. I'm just going to run through it really quick. I do like this price action. You see this higher highs, higher lows. It pulled back from the high of 1085 all the way down to 692 area, and then it did the test again, and then it gapped higher. So it really hasn't looked back since it gapped higher. We put in higher highs and higher lows from that point back here in 11.5. So I do like this price action, especially recently. So I think this was a very good risk versus reward area. And so first I said a stop should go down underneath $9. I think that's a little too far. I think it's safer to put a stop up here on 933. And the reason for that is if it does fall through 933, it's most likely going to head all the way back down to $9. So you could save yourself 30 cents in there if you were to get stopped out up here. And if it did fall all the way down here, that would be another place to lean into, in my opinion, on the long side, knowing that if it fell through that point, as far as risk versus reward, if it fell through that point, we have a lot lower prices ahead of us. And that would make this point right here, which it would make that a lower high as opposed to this area right up here. So if it did fall from here, you would have another lower high, and that would be more bearish than bullish. So I think this is a very good area. I'm targeting my first target is $10, and then of course the 1030. I don't think it's going to stop at $10. So if we get a little pump in here, I'm not sure that we'll stop at $10, but we'll see how it goes. MJ, I want to do MJ again because we are long MJ, and there was a little bit of recent price action which makes me want to stay long. It looked a little bit more bearish in the middle of the week as it was pulling back here, but we did hold support, and we put in this a little bit bigger of a green candle here, a little bit bullish of this bullish candle here. It tried to make a run. It didn't get very far. It's since then consolidated. So maybe we'll get another day, maybe some price action that looks something like this. And if it can start doing a higher low as opposed to the low down here, that would look like a very bullish sign. Again, we'll see how that one goes. I want to look at Baba. I'm not in Baba. I see a lot of people posting about it, and so something I wanted to talk about is we have to look out for this. And this is really, well, really any company in the stock market in general, but it's a little bit more risky because China doesn't have to follow the same, well, I have to be careful how I word this, the same rules that US companies follow to be listed. There are a lot of Chinese companies that don't follow the same rules regarding third-party auditors or out-of-country auditors. China doesn't allow it. We can't force them to get audited. All we can do is say, well, if you don't get an audit from a third-party auditor, then we're going to not let you be listed. So we have to be careful of that, be mindful of it. depending on how much money you're willing to invest in out of country companies. Well, really any company, even in the United States, but it's a little bit trickier out of overseas. So be very careful of that. Is this a reversal candle? I would in my just looking at the daily chart, this does to me look like a reversal candle. It would have looked a lot better if the candle closed green. That would have looked a lot better. A lot of selling, possibly a lot of buying towards whatever low that was, around $211. And if I go to the weekly time frame on BABA and just really put it in perspective to see how big of a deal it is, to me it looks like, now if I put it on the weekly time frame, that to me looks a lot more bearish than it does bullish. The chart has a lot of work to do, so I'd be very careful going long in here, stepping in front of this. Yes, it can rally a little bit, but can also rally and then roll over. To me, this is a very bearish price action, and to be honest with you, it could fall all the way back down here. Well, for starters, it could come all the way down here to 198, or even the 200 week moving average around 190. So be very look for that in the next couple weeks. And then one last thing I'll say about that is, if you are long BABA, that is okay in my opinion. You can be long against the low of this candle. Maybe we'll see how it opens up tomorrow, and let's say it opened up and it started selling off. You could enter long with a stop loss just below the low of that candle, planning on this being a reversal candle. One thing is, if BABA does get going here and shorts begin to cover, we could probably see a nice little short squeeze in here. I'm personally staying away from it. I don't like this chart. I don't like the way it looks. If it begins to put in more consolidation or put in some sort of like pattern where it's starting to make higher highs and higher lows, I would start to look in going long once we get up into the gap. If that will even happen, I don't know. Okay, Wells Fargo, and I'm going to put Wells Fargo Club on here also. And Wells Fargo Club, the reason why I put it on here, we bought this down here, somewhere down here near the lows. And I posted in the Discord at the time, and we posted in the Discord when we exited the trade. I don't know if it was this most recent. It might have been last week, or it was either last week or the week before. It was up near the highs up here, and I wanted to hold that one for 10 years. 5-10 years. I like the dividends. I decided to take profit on because of where the market is at, the broad market. I don't like that we're near the highs in the broad market, and I know Wells Fargo probably trades closer with the XLF than it does the broad market, but still, once the broad market pulls back and you have IWM and SPY and QQQ, and when all the markets start to roll over or pull back and you get pretty big down days, it's going to pull Wells Fargo with it. So but the reason why I put it up here was because of this. We've been consolidating for a couple weeks now, and we just had a breakout candle on Thursday, or rather Christmas Eve, or not Thursday, Wednesday. We had 1223. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm looking at. After this long period of consolidation, we broke above 2986, and now we close right back down near it. The only thing I have to be cautious about is this: we broke out, but not on tremendously high volume, and we really didn't get that far. I was expecting a much higher breakout, but we just kind of saw the same thing in Apple recently, where you could see a breakout doesn't have to be impulsive, even though we would like it to be. It could just ride. Now that it's above the 20, the 200, and the 50, it could just simply ride, slow moves. Maybe it'll just kind of do this slow thing going up here, and we kind of saw that exactly the same thing in Apple. So Wells Fargo's on the list. I might look to take a long trade in this again, but we'll see here. The first target on this one probably is 32.23 in my opinion. We'll see what happens. I'd be targeting this resistance up here. It'd be the high of this candle right over here, this reversal candle. That's all I'm watching really this week, for the most part. What are you guys into? I'm going to go through the comments really quick, and then I will start going over your charts if you guys want to post tickers. Yeah, I don't know why it sounds like I'm on UHG instead of HG. I don't know why. Like, I need to get someone to help me figure this out. It just started doing this error message. I don't know, it wasn't here before. So maybe I updated something, or term science stimulus. Oh, not So indicated not signed. It's going to get signed one way or another, whether it's, I don't know how much the market is the market going to rally 600 points because they signed for another $1,400, or will the market just keep doing what it's doing? How big of a deal is another $1,400 or $1,200, whatever the remainder would be. Yeah, so Dwayne says, I'm concerned about being at a high looking to add short positions. I am, the funny thing is, so I am too, definitely not looking to go long heavily. I'm willing to go long in certain charts, kind of like trading the chart in front of me kind of thing. I'm not looking to add to long-term positions until we get a 10%, some sort of correction, whether it's 5, 8, 10%, 15%. It's going to happen. And I personally, my own opinion, and it's not a technical thing, I believe it's going to happen sooner than later. Whether that's 5, 10, 15%, I don't know. But I'm definitely looking also to look for short positions. I took a hedge on Friday or Thursday or Wednesday. I took a hedge earlier in the week on IWM. Look at the decline after 57 as a technical pullback. There are outside factors. Are you, Mark, are you referring to, I think you're talking about Neo. Yeah, I mean, there's factors for the whole run. I mean, yeah. We're at 57, we pulled back. I don't know. I mean, at what dollar amount? Like, was there a share? There was a share offer, or there was like an offering or something. I mean, it is true. Like, there were outside factors. The only thing I question is like, it went to support and then it rallied again. I believe we went long, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, maybe up here is what you're talking about. I don't know the news up there. So Benjamin asked, how do you personally decide between options versus stock? Yeah, there are some times that I take option trades, and a lot of times I take option trades. A lot of times I'll take stock trades. Stocks I tend to hold for a little bit longer. Options, or I'll go both. Like, I'm very directional trader. I don't do as many spreads. There are times that I do, like when certain charts like Neo, Tesla, Boeing. There are a lot of names that have Roku, that have really high IV, and so it's very expensive premium, and so for that reason I'll take spreads. But as a risk profile goes, Dwayne is the professional in that area. I basically, I would have to defer all spreads to him. But as far as the stocks and options go, I'm looking for because of the directional moves, and because like for instance the names that we know, the top stocks, I like to take options in those because it's a lot easier for me to read a chart if it is, SPY, or a lot of the bigger names follow more of the quote unquote rules as opposed to penny stocks or so if I am trading penny stocks, definitely I'm going with not options, I'm going with shares. Or really, if there's a really low volume, I'm going to go with shares versus options, especially if there's low volume. I want a good price on spreads. I don't want the spread to be too wide. We wouldn't be able to throw a CEO in prison for cooking the books if trying to come. Yeah. I have been on the short side. I didn't even expect any reaction. When should I exit? Where would I be wrong? So this is the thing. If we're gonna go short on, well, here's the problem of going there's a difference between taking taking a hedge position. I think okay, so you could do this. You could back the chart up and look at this big, the overall. Let's look at the monthly chart. Here's the max monthly. We could look at the max monthly and say, okay, well, your depth for if you were taking a short trade on this resistance, which we want to look for more of evidence that is actually going to be resistance, because being at all-time highs with no horizontal resistance, and what I would be looking for is horizontal resistance like this, support or resistance. Because we're at all-time highs, there isn't resistance until there is. And so that's going to be kind of the complication with taking a pretty heavy short trade. And you could take the short off of a trend, but you definitely be wrong once we started printing, and we're on the monthly chart. So once you started printing monthly candles above the trend, then you're definitely wrong in the trade. Like, who wants to wait a full month for an option contract? So let's go down to a lower time frame. Same thing like the weekly chart. If we can find a trend in here, which I don't personally like to take the trend shorts. I mean, unless if it was a channel, I would like to take a channel. You know, if we saw some sort of channel in here, I would definitely like to take a short. But I'm looking for more of horizontal personally. So I do like to take the hedges, especially when we get to crazy prices. But the problem, again, we're looking at the weekly time frame, and it has been going straight up in the last 2 months. We're up 30%, which is pretty crazy for the IWM, the Widowmaker. So we'll see how it goes. You could also look for whole numbers. So one would be the $200 price area, and if I looked at after hours, let's do this. Index. So after hours, we're up 0.66%. So as you can see here, it doesn't look like much on this weekly chart, but it's getting up there. The last way and the most successful way to short is to wait for the actual reversal candle. And so here's an example of that. Let me do this. So this is the daily chart, right? So what we're looking for is a reversal candle. And so if trend, like here's one, for instance, this price area. So you could say that, like, okay, well, the seller showed up here, and I don't know if this print is a real print, but let's say it is. And let's say this is the reversal candle. So you would wait for the reversal candle, and then you wait for the retracement back up the reversal candle. So the best time to go short is in this area, shorting against the high of the reversal candle. And in this scenario, you would be stopped out of the trade because we closed the weekly or the daily chart. We closed above the high of the reversal candle. And now if you can line that up with something else like the trend, or if you can line it up with something else like, I don't like to use volume necessarily, but if you can line it up with some other indicators or some other things on the chart that make that price area a good area of what's, quote unquote resistance, then I think that would be more successful of a trade, as opposed to taking, say, a hedge position because we believe the market is so insanely up here. We can definitely take stabs at it, but I would just be really cautious on how much money we want to spend. I mean, I'm with you all the way on taking short trades, though, for sure. I mean, I'm in one right now on IWM, and we're going to be up probably around 1% by the time we wake up in the morning. Okay, what are we watching, guys? What kind of stocks are we watching this week? Yeah, so if you're trade, I have one too that I had one too at $200 because I was looking at that as more of a whole number. So here's the thing: is the daily chart. So let's say by tomorrow at market close, and for me the market closes at 1 o'clock. So I'm looking for a daily close above $200 by market close, and if that's going to happen tomorrow, I would be stopped out of my trade. Is it BLD or BID? I can't see the. Maybe it's BLD. I like this. See, and especially when it puts in like an intra-week high or low, especially after a breakout. So maybe we're going to see a little bit more consolidation here. I don't know if this is all-time highs. It does. Yeah, it is all-time highs. And I've said this before, like I like to take trades personally that I can target. Like for instance, if we were down in this price area down here, and let's say we fell down here, and I'm like, okay, well, there's support in here, and then it put in a reversal candle. We could go long, and here's a higher low. And let's say we go long, I'm targeting this area up here. I do like this chart for these for a few reasons. One is you kind of see this going on. It looks like a breakout, a back test, and it's staying above this rising wedge pattern. Now, if it fell back down into the rising wedge pattern, that might be a short opportunity coming into play. I think that it's having maybe it's having some trouble around $200 price area though. So kind of be mindful of, I don't know if this would be, personally, I'm not sure if this would be a reversal candle in here. And I also don't know about the volume, but there's nothing wrong with going long or being long on pullbacks. I don't know if you're looking for a short or a long trade in here. Maybe there's another triangle pattern I'm not seeing. Or you could do something like this. Or even from right here. Maybe that's a better way of looking at it. I'm gonna put it on here. What's the other one? ISRG. Same kind of chart. Looks like almost a similar pattern in here. Seeing this, I think it's appropriate to take a short trade. The only thing I would be mindful of is we're above support. Maybe it'll pull back to support. You have a support area back here, but also you have the low of this candle right here, which it's really hard to see on my screen, but let me do this. So you have the high back here, the high here, and then you have the low of this candle can act as support, prior resistance, and then the new support. We'll see. Which, you know, it kind of makes me think too, like, if I go back to the SPY, what was I just thinking? I was just thinking of something about, so here's the other thing I was thinking. We could see another parabolic move, and I consider this price action parabolic. When it starts making these huge run-ups, maybe we'll see that one more time. And then when it happens, I'll say maybe we'll see it one more time. Because it does feel like a never-ending thing. Was that it? Is this what you guys, is this it? Any other charts you guys want to look at? There's another one I was looking at too. I want to take another look at Apple. When is Neo Day? Is Mark in here still? Mark might know. So we got out of this trade. Actually, we did a video on this. We went long. I wanted to see if it would give us some more. I don't know. I wanted to see if I can get more out of it. We'll see if it consolidates up in this price area up here. I would prefer it to pull back to fill the gap, but we'll see if it consolidates. You do have this rising trend in here. It did break out recently. I had a trend line down in here, and then you could almost put one right around here. We'll see what happens. But I do like Apple, but I would like to see a lot more consolidation. Yeah, 8th or 9th. I mean, I'm personally like, and you guys know how I feel about Neo and Tesla and all the EV companies. I'm personally looking for another long entry. I got out of the trade a while ago, but I'm actually looking for another long one. I think it needs a lot more time to clear 57.20, but maybe battery day, or I keep saying battery day. Maybe Neo Day will be the catalyst that it needs to get over 57.20, or maybe just the run up into it. And it's hard to say at this point if it's gonna run up from right now. If the futures make a pretty big move overnight, I would imagine, well, it's hard to say that, but maybe we'll see higher prices in Neo sooner than later. But I'm hoping that it doesn't gap higher because I want entry. And I'm willing to take an entry in Neo. I'm definitely willing to take an entry in here using the stop just below this most recent breakout candle. I don't know what you call this. We'll see what happens. I'm not huge. We took a trade in Solo recently, ZI recently, and I mean within the last month. Um, we'll see. I also am looking for possibly another trade in ANGI, but again, I want to see more consolidation. Maybe pull back to the 20 period. Yeah, and Mark, we should probably look up. That was the other thing is like I bet you there's a lot of people probably short. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. There's probably enough people short right now. Once we for sure clear this, well, the most recent high, but also the high from this candle back here, I imagine shorts are really going to begin to cover, which could give it the squeeze that it needs. Both of these highs, definitely the all-time high of 57.20, but maybe both of these highs in here, the shorts might begin to cover. HTLD. Wait, is that a See, and I like these. I don't know. I like this. Are you looking for a long or a short? There's a trade that we were looking at. Oh, that's another one we could look at. Is this chart reminds me a little bit of Rocket, and I was actually see. I have the same, not the same pattern, but I have a pattern in here. I went long. I'm still holding this. I'm looking for a breakout or a breakdown. I'm willing to close a long and take it and possibly look for a short if we can break through this price area. There's going to be some support down here, so it's kind of where do we want to take it at. Definitely a long trade if we can break out of this thing. We'll see how the pattern develops over the next few days. I'm gonna put this on the list because I'm still watching it. And sorry, I got off of the other one you're looking at. I like this too. I don't like how it's just lingering down here. I would prefer this to be making higher highs and higher lows, but I like this. I like the pattern itself. I like these kind of triangle patterns. And I mean it's staying above support, so we'll see what happens. If I was to go long over this, I would wait for the breakout. And if this fell back through this $18, I don't know what price area we could say this was. Let's look. Definitely if it fell below the end of last week's low. If it fell below $18, you could probably see a move down here to 1740. So, but as far as the long side, I personally would want to see like a breakout. It's coiling up so much now that once it does break out, if it breaks out, I think it'd move pretty fast. And same with the breakdown. It's been kind of coiling up here pretty big. What was the other one? UG. Same with this one. I like these charts. Like I like this coiling action. And then I don't know where you would. To be honest, I wouldn't even look for a longer term breakout. I would look for, you could probably even do this. And then we just have to be careful because if it did what Boeing did that one time where it fell through for a day or two, and then it rallied right back through, and then it never looked back. It just took off. And so same thing on this one. I would look for let's do this. I would be looking for something. And I know if you go long on this, you're going to come up into resistance pretty quick. And by then, maybe this 200 period moving average would be down into the gap. We'll put something like this. But you'll probably see a little bit of resistance in that area, at least intraday resistance. And then if it fell through, you'll probably see some support down here. But this is definitely the kind of trade that I would want to take. Or, yeah, especially to the downside. Okay, I think that's it. If you guys like video, please hit the like button if you gain value out of it. Share the video. check it out, rtbtrading.com. And we are live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I'd love to see what you guys are watching through the week. So post it in the Discord. I'd love to check it out. And let me put this on here. And that's it for today. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.